Barcade Security Officer Protocols. While on duty as a security officer, staff must conduct themselves in an alert and professional manner at all times. No staff member should engage in actions that could be interpreted negatively by any client, patrons, or the general public. The following protocol must be adhered to by all staff members with no deviation unless authorized by executive management. Security officers must report to duty on time. Tardiness will not be tolerated. A security company or Barcade branded security polo or t-shirt is mandatory for all shifts. All security staff must hold the licenses required by the city or state in which they are contracted. Licenses should be carried at all times and presented to the manager upon request to create a copy for Barcade's records to be kept on site. Proper hygiene, shower, clean shaven, or neatly groomed is also mandatory. Upon arrival, sign in on the security timesheet and refer to the manager on duty for any special instructions for this location or this shift. If applicable, security officers must sign out radios at the beginning of their shift and sign the radios in at the end of the shift. There is no cell phone use while on shift, unless an executive from the security company is calling. There is no chewing gum while on shift. Security officers are not permitted to have visitors during their shift. No eating is permitted in the front of the venue before, during, or after the shift. Breaks are provided at the times deemed appropriate by the manager on duty. Never abandon your post without proper relief, unless instructed by a manager or in case of an emergency. Security officers should be positioned at the front door to check customer identification. They should be stationed inside the front door, whether it's open or not. Security officers should not be stationed outside the door, on the sidewalk, or the street. When more than one security officer is scheduled, additional officers should canvass the floor during their shift. It's important that they do not lean against or block the area in front of any games or seating areas. Officers can switch positions as they see fit during the course of the night. Security officers should not allow anyone to enter who does not have a valid identification showing them to be over 21 years of age, despite what age they appear to be. Door staff must not simply let customers enter who look of age or ask the customers if they have identification and then not check it. If the location has an ID scanner, all guest IDs should be scanned. Security should still visually inspect the ID to ensure that it's valid before scanning. Greet all patrons with the proper and appropriate salutations. Example: good evening, welcome to the establishment, please enjoy yourself, or have a good evening, please get home safely. If the location conducts bag checks, the following steps should be followed. Every guest must have their bag checked. There are no exceptions. Security officers are only to conduct visual inspections of bags. Prohibited items include outside beverages, weapons, and drug paraphernalia. The one item we allow guests to keep in their bags is mace. No other weapons are allowed, and a guest with any other weapon should be refused entry. They cannot leave the weapon at the door. Other items, as long as they are legal, can be left at the door if there's a designated area for them. If a guest has any type of issue at the door, the officer should defer to the floor manager for guidance. Barcade never charges a cover. Security officers should never handle any cash, even if a guest offers it to them. The floor manager on duty should be notified immediately of any issue. Security officers must exercise respect and cooperation upon the arrival of authorities. Officers must ask for formal identification from the authority and let them know that a manager will be summoned to assist them. The area in front of the bar must always be clear and quiet. All smokers and guests entering and leaving should be asked to move down the block. Any guests being loud should be asked to lower their voices and move along. During an altercation, the officer should alert a staff member for assistance while doing their best to defuse the situation. In the case of a physical altercation, the officer must use as much restraint as possible, while also moving to escort the perpetrators off the premises as quickly and as peacefully as possible. Security responses. If a guest appears to be over 30 and does not have a current correct form of ID, response: sorry, Barcade usually requires a valid physical ID to enter the bar, but let me call a manager to see if we can make an exception to the rule. Thanks for your patience. A guest who appears under 30 who does not have a current correct form of ID, response: I apologize, but Barcade does require a valid physical ID to enter the bar. If a guest then protests or complains, I understand it's frustrating. Please let me summon a manager to see if there's anything we can do.